Shooting from unusual viewpoints is a great way to make your images stand out, but it's not always easy to come up with new ways to shoot a subject. And the problem of finding interesting new angles is particularly difficult when shooting landscapes. But I've got a great trick to try when shooting near a lake or a small river. Get into the water yourself and shoot from just below the surface to get a really novel vantage point. This frog's eye view shows the scene from half in and half out of the water. Normally this technique would involve using an expensive underwater housing, but I'm going to show you how you can get the same effect by using a cheap plastic fish tank and a pair of rubber boots. It does take a leap of faith to submerge your camera in the tank, but remember, this DIY technique will only cost you around £25, rather than the hundreds or even thousands that a proper underwater SLR housing can cost. Before you get your precious Nikon anywhere near the water, you should do a quick test to make sure the tank is waterproof. Once you're happy that the seals and sides are completely watertight, you're ready to prepare your camera for its underwater adventure. It's easiest to use a wide-angle lens such as this Sigma 10-20mm, or the widest setting on your standard zoom. Then you'll need to switch the camera to manual focus, set a small aperture such as f11, and adjust the focus so the far distance is sharp. Now, in manual exposure mode, adjust the shutter speed so that the landscape and the sky are correctly exposed. Although if it's slower than 1/60th of a second, then you need to increase the ISO to avoid camera shake. Here at Pretty Pool, I'm using the exposure of 1/125th of a second at f11 with an ISO of 200. It's best to shoot in RAW format too, as it will give you the best chance of capturing detail both above and below the water. You'll also need to attach a remote release to the camera so that you can fire the shutter easily and still have a firm grip on the tank. Now you're ready to put the camera inside the tank, and get the lens as close as possible to the glass to minimise the effects of any water drops or marks on the final image. Once the camera is safely inside the tank and you can reach the remote release, you're ready to take it for a test. It takes a bit of practice to hold the tank in the water safely and also keep it steady and level. Keeping a firm hold of the tank, you should gradually lower it into the water, and you can then start taking your shots. You should also try not to stir up too much dirt or mud when you're in the water, otherwise you'll never see what's under the water. It takes quite a few attempts to get the results right, but once you get the hang of it, you can produce amazing shots that offer a unique, semi-submerged viewpoint on the landscape.